Mm, Good afternoon, everybody. So, what we are going to do is, uh, as even the title mentions that, like when to use and when to avoid using the idioms, we're going to talk about that. Just a minute, let me do some settings over there, and then we're going to initiate the process. I hope so that I am audible to all of you, because that's creating a problem over here for me. Just a minute. I hope so. Everything is perfectly fine. Let me just come over here and just put it into the display. hmm Let me see whether the thing is visible. Yeah, it's visible. And is it audible also or not? Yeah, yeah, it is audible. So let me just share that as well on WhatsApp and on Facebook. I have only two social media channels, or what we say, the social media accounts. Instagram, it's not working properly, but I know that it should. What can I do there? Mm, Let me just share it to my status as well. Status, WhatsApp status. hmm I got only 1 hour, so in that 1 hour, I'll be just trying to do my best to let you know that when are the situations when we have to use the idioms and when we need to avoid using the idioms at different points of our life or different situations of our life. Just a minute. Facebook. There must be people who are still awake back there in India, and also the people who are here can also join if they would like to. But my work is like I will upload that one. I don't get that amount of time to actually edit the things nowadays, but earlier, like, I had a great time, large amount of time to actually make some changes in the videos and do some editing over there. But as soon as my studies are over, then definitely I'll be back with the editing stuff as like also along with it. So just wait a minute, wait a minute. That would be the last share, and then we will start doing it. mm, as per the knowledge of the common a person or a layman, if we talk about uh, the use of idioms, literally I would say that in the beginning I was also not using them at all. If I would talk about my schooling, during the schooling period, I never tried to actually use it like by a push or by any force, or even if like right now I am trying to persuade you or convince you to use the idioms. It's not like that. um, it's natural. Like if those look like natural to you, to that are coming in your mouth, and you're bluttering it out, and you're speaking it out to the people, then definitely it's okay to use the idioms. um, I'm still on the way, just a minute. Mm-mm-mm. Then we'll be fluent and fast also. Yeah. Yeah. So there are different situations when we can use idioms in English. First thing first is, like, what are they? Normally, when we want to say something, it becomes dull and boring all the time. We are using the same language. The repetition of the language actually makes it dull, boring, and monotonous. When it comes to actually make it more colorful, vivid, and expressive, uh, that's there, like the use of idioms comes into play. So, what are they? Idioms are the colorful expressions. These are colorful expression. Expressions are the way we express our ideas, but they become colorful when we use these elements of English, which are known as idioms. Okay. What do they do is actually they add the depth to something, depth to what we want to say, and depth to what we want to actually convey as a meaning to somebody. Like, it's like saying something in a different manner. It's like saying something, a normal thing, to be in a different manner, so that the other person would be thinking, yeah, he has said something, but literally it means something else, but in reality it means something else. So idioms sometimes are quite what we say, make you whimsical or apprehensive about somebody's like intentions, and what they really want to convey as far as their message is concerned. So uh, like they are used in a different situations, in a different to different variety of the situations, when we want to convey a particular meaning, or communicate our ideas, to make them more engaging and interesting, so that the other person will be interested to talk to us, you know. So the main purpose of using the idioms would be to create interest in somebody who's listening to us. Yeah. So where we can use the idioms normally day to day life, when we talk about the everyday conversations, like here you can see the picture of a cat, but it doesn't mean that like I'm talking about a cat, but what I'm going to say would be, some meaning, would have some great meaning, but it would be said in a different way. Like, you see, the idioms can spice up your everyday conversations. You know everyday conversations, like whenever you talk about the weather, or if it is raining or something like that, then definitely it will make it more expressive and interesting. When we talk about the idioms, the use of the idioms, like it will make interesting. We have said it in the beginning itself. So definitely, normally when I actually started teaching in the school also, during that period, what I saw is like the children in the ICSE board, or like those private schools, they are told or forced somehow to use some of them in their daily life. Somehow, whether they know it or not, it doesn't matter to them, but they had to use it. So if you are going to push yourself in an unnatural environment to use the idioms, that's not the thing that the language actually teaches us. The language teaches us to use them naturally, and if they occur natural, then definitely it will have some impact. Otherwise, you will end up making somebody fed up. Okay. So definitely the person is not going to be interested in your talk if you will try to blabber or speak continuously the number of the or thousands of the the idioms at the same time. You will try to show up knowledge that I know this or that means something, this or that means something. Like for example, here you can see that I told you that there is a picture of that cat. So the idiom is also based upon the cat. It's raining cats and dogs. So it's raining cats and dogs. That इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि that the cats and dogs are falling down. It's not like that. It's raining cats and dog here in English, like in English word, it means it's raining heavily. That means like the rain is quite heavy. Okay, it's raining cats and dogs. Okay, so here we say that like we try to add a flair to it. Okay, to our statement, what which could have been said like it's raining outside heavily. Instead of saying it's raining outside heavily, we have said that it's raining cats and dogs. So when we add something as far as the idiomatic expression is concerned, so it becomes more meaningful or more interesting. Not meaningful somehow, but more interesting, because meaning sometimes the people take it in a wrong sense. You know, one or the other occasion recently it also happened in my life as well. Like the people took it in a different sense. Somehow, anyways, it happens. You know, we are not the native speakers, we are not from the English world, we are Indians, so definitely the mistakes can be possible, but we should know at least the basic meaning, like which it wants to convey. At least we need to Google it. Like what I learned here when I came in Canada, like whenever I used to ask somebody how this happens, like how can I make this card, how can I do this or that, you know, they used to tell me only one thing: Google it, search it on the different search bars, then you will get to know about it. So one thing which is certainly clear, like clear to me now, is whatever I want to do, then I have to actually do it on my own. So definitely, if you really want to improve your language as far as your idiomatic expressions are concerned, also that you have to do it on your own. But somehow I can assist you in different like situations. Like for example, if you need the bulk of the idioms that you don't have, then I can actually provide you in the Google link or the Google Drive link. Then you will be able to actually get them, and then definitely you can practice them. The main thing is, like, which comes into play in using the idioms is the practice. If you don't do the practice, then definitely you won't be using it every now and then, because I told you that idioms can be used in the everyday conversation. That doesn't mean that everyday conversation with your boss, everyday conversation with the colleagues. It's not like that. Everyday conversations which are informal, which are not actually in from the formal world, you are not writing a legal document or something, so there you can use it. Don't use it in other cases. Like I'll let you know like where not to use it. Second thing, like second place where we should actually use the idioms is in writing. But writing, it doesn't mean writing of every particular case, writing of every particular what we say discourse. Okay, so idioms can be used in the books as well. Idioms can be used in the stories, poems, and different other compositions. You know, so idioms are the frequently used. Frequently, that means a regular usage. Okay, so idioms are used regularly in the written communication, including essays. Somehow in the formal essay we don't use them. Okay, for example, the IELTS essay is concerned, nobody is entitled or nobody is free to use the idioms because it makes it informal. So any kind of informality in kind of in writing, in any kind of writing, is not allowed. Okay, it is prohibited. So articles, when you read articles in the magazines or in the newspaper, you're gonna see that idioms are used in them. Okay. So free press, if you will check the free press also, then you will be getting lots of idioms as well. That is a good source to get that. Okay, and when you read the stories, there are plenty of, you know. So poetry, like whether it is John Keats or William Wordsworth or any kind of poet who has written the poetry till now, they have used the idioms now and then in their life. Okay, the people who are actually belong to who belong to actually like literary world, they can easily use them. Okay, easily use them. So why they are using it? Because it helps them to actually convey the message, convey the emotions they want to express in a very particular way, in a very what we say, interesting and intriguing way. You know, sometimes the things are to be made complex, they make it complex, and the people try to think on a different perspectives, and the double thoughts comes in their way. But that double thought or imagination gives rise to the creativity. So that's how it creates image in the mind of, you know, the writer, or in the mind of the reader. Whatever you write will create imagery more emphatically when you will use idioms in them. Okay, so different situations will play different roles, you know. Like for example, you're trying to ignore somebody. It's not easy to use, like it's simple to, it's simply, yeah, like if you say that, let's ignore somebody, you know, it's very easy to say that, let's ignore him. Okay, ignore the loopholes in the person. So if you say that, give him a cold shoulder. Okay, cold shoulder, when you say you give him a cold shoulder, that would be a totally different, that by giving the shoulder what will happen. But it also means the same, like when you say that give him a cold shoulder, that means you are told to ignore somebody. So when you're showing the coldness in your attitude, obviously it is rough. So when you use rough language, or you try to show roughness in your attitude, that shows that you're showing the cold shoulder to someone. Okay, that actually means that in writing, okay, so in that case, then definitely the use of the idioms is going to be great. Okay, so by using the idioms appropriately, you can make your writing more engaging and memorable, so that the other person will remember it for longer duration of time. It won't be for 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. It would be a usual process for all of them. Okay, then comes a public speaking. Public speaking, it means to say that when you are on a platform, like you are on the stage, like the different presidents and the prime ministers, when we see, and it's not only the prime ministers or somebody, when you're giving or presenting somebody a PowerPoint presentation, like right at the moment, if you're doing any, like the way I am doing the presentation, same way, if you're presenting it to the public, or you're standing in front of the thousands of the people at the same time, and you want to say something, then definitely the idioms can be of great help. Like it will make more interest in the kind of audience that is sitting before you. So when you are delivering your speeches or the presentations, using the idioms can capture your audience attention. Main purpose at that time of, you know, public speaking is having the attentive attitude of the audience, you know, which actually gets bored after a long time. After a long time, you will keep on speaking the monotonous dialogue or something, then obviously they will feel sleepy, and they will yawn at some moments as well. So to make it more impactful, like if you want to make your message more impactful, then definitely you have to do it. Okay, so idioms often provide a concise and a vivid way to express complex ideas or the concepts. So what I mean to say here is, like they give you the concise meaning. Like if you want to say a large amount of words, or yeah, we say that a picture speaks 1,000 words or something like that is there. So same thing applies to this as well. Okay, when you are actually trying to use that idioms, okay, then definitely that provides, I'm really sorry for the background noise that is there, like that's not in my room, that is from outside, so I'm really sorry for that. So idioms often provide a concise and a vivid way to express the complex ideas and the concepts. Okay, just a minute. Next is, now there are some situations, like I told you, that the formal situations also, where actually we can apply the use of the idioms, but not exactly with the kind of hierarchy that we are talking to, or the persons who are in the line of, you know, like a bosses or somebody, like who are in that order. Okay. So business communication, in the business communication also, the idioms can play a vital role. So idioms are commonly used in the business settings to facilitate effective communication and build rapport with the colleagues, clients, and the customers. So when you're talking to your customers and you're using the idiomatic language, the person would be definitely enticed towards talking to you, and definitely would feel overwhelmed when you're going to use them in an interesting way, or in the required manner. If it is not required and you're trying to, if the person is, nervous before you, then definitely if you are trying to use it, then definitely the person won't be happy to hear your voice. Okay. Employing the idioms correctly can help convey professionalism. Like, that depends upon the kind of idiom that you're using. Okay. If you're using an idiom which is not actually related to the profession, and you're trying to use your friendly kind of idioms in that, then definitely it can go in against you, or it can create a negative impact on your audience. Just a minute. So when you're talking about different other situations when we use it, yeah, storytelling, it's very common one when you're trying to tell a story. Like for example, a thirsty crow or something. Where there is a way, there is a way, like it has a different meaning. Somehow the catchy phrases or the catchy lines like such have a great impact. Somehow they have the idiomatic meaning. Their expressions are totally different from what they actually want to convey in the line. Okay. So storytelling is also one of the way by which you can like express your idiomatic expressions in a very impactful manner. So idioms are valuable tools for storytelling, as they make narratives more engaging. Here it means to say that the other person becomes more interested to listen to you, and relatable. Whether you're telling your personal anecdote here stands for a certain sort of real life incident that happened with you, and then you're trying to actually express it through your words. Sharing a fictional tale, then definitely it's a thing that you do. Okay. Using idioms can enhance the overall narrative and captivate your audience. Yeah. So another thing, like where you can use the idioms, is media and entertainment. Like, if you will check out the Bollywood world, or you'll talk about the Hollywood world, or whichever TV serials that you watch, then definitely the language used to be quite informal. And those reporters and the kind of correspondents who used to actually gather the information, they use the information quite informally and use idiomatic expressions in them. Okay. So idioms are prevalent means quite like normal thing to be and common thing to be used, or they are wide, they are present in wide varieties of the movies. So TV shows, books, and other forms of entertainment, when you talk about all of such things, then definitely you're going to see the large amount of idioms getting used in them. So they contribute to characterization of the fictional characters. So when we try to put emphasis on, or we use a kind of pun on somebody, or language which can actually add humor to somebody's personality, then definitely it can be utilized. Okay. So understanding idioms can enhance your enjoyment and comprehension of these forms of media. Okay. Comprehension here means to say understanding of these forms of media. So when you will read something which will have some idiomatic expressions added to that, then definitely don't take it to the like literal meaning, but you have to actually see that what exactly person wants to convey in the given context, and the context is the main thing where we want to make the meaning of it. And some people, they try to make the meaning of your lines in a different sense, and that shows a negligence of those people that who don't know about the idioms. So it's up to them, not to you. Okay. Now then the next thing, like if you want to socialize more and you want to create humor in your attitude, or you want to create humor before somebody, then definitely idioms are one of those elements which can add all such things. Then idioms are frequently used in the social situations to create the shared language and establish connections. Okay. um, by using the idioms in the casual conversation, the jokes can actually create a sparking element into your talk, and it can create a laughter or a jovial situation for the rest of the people who are hearing you. You know, kind of cultural bond also would be created if you will use the idiom in your speech. Now, what the thing is, like the basic thing is, these are the situations where you should use the idioms, but we need to consider some points over there, like considering the context, in which context are we, and what is our audience. We have to see that what audience are we talking to. Okay. So definitely we have to see the cultural differences of different kinds when we are trying to use them. And if we don't see that and simply will try to apply each and every idioms in every situation, that can create a kind of barricade, and also it is going to block your way of actually communicating your ideas in a very emphatic manner. Okay, so that is the thing. And now there are the places where we should not use the idioms. So obviously idioms can enhance the communication in the various situations, and there are certain contexts where it is advisable not to use them. Okay, so what are those? Formal writing, as I mentioned earlier, like for example you are writing an essay, like which is an academic essay, or you're trying to write it for the university, or you're trying to write it for your IELTS exam, or any kind of TOEFL exam, or whichsoever exam which is a formal platform. So in any of the formal platform, you cannot write the idiom. Okay, you have to avoid that one. It is generally best to use the standard language instead. Okay, it's not like advisable that you should use idioms in that case. Okay, so formal settings requires the clear and the precise communication. Like they don't require you to actually write large amount of things, or you need to blabber large amount of stuff at the same time. So they require you only just to be very concise and be messageful. Whichever message is required, that is to be done, not to be actually quite unprofessional. When you are trying to be informal, we can be informal with our friends, we can be informal with somebody who is quite known to us, like people who are very close to us. With them we can be informal. We can use some kind of informal language, where we know that idioms are normal to use. But in case of the formal writing, you should not. Okay, then it comes the technical or the scientific writing. For example, you are writing for the fields of the science, you're writing for that field of technology or the medicine, the engineering. They want everything to be precise. Like for example, you are writing the theory of Albert Einstein, and you're trying to use the idioms over there, then that definitely it's not appropriate enough that you are using it. Okay, it is unambiguous language. So if you are using the ambiguous language over there, having double meaning, then definitely your meaning in the scientific world can be taken in a wrong consideration. So definitely you have to use the unambiguous language in such scenario. Okay, so idioms can introduce a confusion and misinterpretation. Okay, so it's generally better to use the straightforward and technical terms in these contexts. Okay, then another thing where we should not use the idioms is the legal documents. So when you make any case, or you're working as a plaintiff, or you're trying to put a case, or you're any of the party, defend, whether it is defendant or the plaintiff. So you cannot use like any kind of language which is quite informal. And before the judge, you cannot be that informal. The legal documents, or something which is written on the white paper, whether it is a legal paper or A4 size paper, whichsoever paper it is, like you're writing an application or the report or the contracts or the agreement, whichsoever are there, they have to be having the clarity and the precision with that. And if you're not using that one, then definitely ambiguity will come into play, the double meanings will come into play. So definitely that is not required in the legal documents. There it is not desirable from any point of view. So okay, then it's crucial, it's very important, it's enormously important that you should use a precise and the well-defined language in the legal document, so that the reader who is also in the legal status will be considering your meaning accordingly. Then any of the language learning material, when you are trying to create, for example, right at the moment I'm teaching you grammar, like if I want to tell you that what is the meaning of a phrase, and then I'll try to explain it through the example or the statement or the structure of it, then I can't use the idiomatic language, so that it will be very clear to you, because already creating the language material will be very difficult for the teacher as well as for the student. It has to be made concise, and it has to be made to the point. If we'll try to use the idiomatic language over there, then definitely the ESL teachers whomsoever are making, it's recommended to them to minimize the use of the idioms, especially when you are talking to the beginners. When you're talking to the beginners, and when you're trying to initiate the process of teaching to them, then definitely you have to be very concise, very formal in certain sense. So idioms can be confusing. What is the reason behind that is idioms can be confusing for the non-native speakers. Sorry. And focusing on the literal and the basic expressions helps build a strong foundation of the language learning. Like when we are focusing on what is a verb and what are the different parts of a sentence, like when we are trying to express all of them at the same time, if you'll try to use idioms in between, then definitely it will be very difficult for other person to understand that. Like for example, there are the people from the different horizons of the world or different global setups. Like there are Chinese people, there are Canadian people, there are Indian people, there are different other uh, backgrounds, from the different cultures. If they are there, then definitely if you're going to use the idioms, it'll be creating a kind of fuss between them, because maybe in their context the meaning would be different, in our context the meaning would be different. So whenever you are using idioms, you should not use it in the cross cultural communication. Otherwise you need to set up a certain sort of symphony or kind of friendly bargaining of that, like can I use this or that or something like that. So if it is done there, then definitely you are free to use the idioms in any sense. So English speakers, it is advisable for them like to limit the use of idioms in such certain cases. When there's, for example, an English person is talking to the Indian person, then definitely whatever they would say can mean in a different sense then. So idioms are often deeply rooted in the cultural context. So for example, one of the idioms like which created a kind of fuss among the students recently was like your mother doesn't work or something like that was said, but it was said in a certain context so that the other person won't take it to the another level. The people can take it to the different levels, and different meanings can be taken out. So it all depends, like if there is a cross cultural communication happening, then we need to be actually like careful while using the idioms. The people can make it make the meaning of it in a different sense. So it's important to use a plain language instead to ensure effective communication rather than actually using such kind of things. Like for example, you're presenting your presentation, you're in a professional setup. Okay, so while idioms can be useful in the public speaking, it's important to gaze here means to measure. Okay, measure means to fathom up the appropriateness of their use, like whether they are optimum or appropriate enough exactly to this situation. Can I use them? Especially in the international and the formal settings, it is better to stick to the clear and the straightforward language to ensure the universal understanding. Now the last thing that you should remember is, remember again the context, again the audience awareness, whichsoever is your audience. Like here in your picture you can see that how they are sitting together, then I think this is an appropriate situation where they can use it. Like if it is a class, then definitely it depends upon the teacher that how formal or informal is the teacher, then definitely they can go to a certain level, but not beyond that. Like it depends upon how close you guys are. Okay, so being mindful of the situation and considering the comprehension level of the listener, yeah, that is the main thing. Like if the comprehension of the other person or understanding of the other person is great towards what you say, then you are free to use it. But if it is not accordingly the professional setup, then definitely it can cause you a great harm. So these are the things which you should keep in mind like while using the idioms. But let me tell you, those people who prepare for the IELTS exam or who particularly prepare for the speaking exam in IELTS, they must know at least in the normal conversations, also in the beginner questions also, to add up some flavor by using the idioms. So all those idioms I think I have created already in my videos. So if you think so that those can be utilized, I think there are lots of which are already used, and many of my students have gotten success achieving 6.5 bands from their 5 bands, like who earlier got the 5 bands and they got the 6.5 bands even in their speaking, while when they actually recovered from the previous kind of engagement with the normal stuff, to the level of using the idioms or idiomatic expressions in their speaking. So it's quite advisable that you should know idioms to a certain level that nobody can make fool out of you. So that is the main purpose of using the idiomatic expressions. Like for example, if I use the daunting task is a kind of what we say a phrasal combination, but still it has a different meaning. Daunting task is a tough task. Okay, Herculean task is a tough task. Herculean task is made from Hercules. Hercules was a kind of warrior. So Herculean task is like a very big task, a very massive thing that if you will be trying to do it, then definitely the meaning or the impact of something that you want to say would be a different thing, different scenario it would be. So that's what I would recommend you, and I hope so that you have learned something from the given thing that I have tried to present before you, and I hope that you're gonna keep learning English stuff every now and then. And I'm going to start my new course, which is a very cheap price for the Indian students like back there in India. Okay, within 1 week I will be actually trying to teach you the like whole process of speaking exam. And if you are willing to actually join that one, then you can just send me the message on my like email ID at stardy596@gmail.com, or you can just send me the message on WhatsApp 70876754447. Nobody is compelled to do it. You are free to join the classes. Anybody who is willing to improve English also can also join the same sessions. That would be a 5 days class, and you would be not you won't be charged more than 1,000. Okay, so you would be like money is a separate stuff we can talk about it later on. But the thing is that right at the moment, which is actually the talk of the town, is improving your English. So you can improve your English using the idiomatic expressions. You can improve your English by learning the system of giving an answer. So I'll be teaching you in that particular course that how to start with the answer and how to actually elaborate your answer, the different processes within that, like how to actually enhance the contrasting ideas, how to enhance your comparing ideas, different stuff. So we'll be talking about all such things. Till that time, I would say that you can search on different videos that are already prepared. Some of the videos I have randomly made, but those videos are very much helpful for those kids who really, or the youngsters also, who really want to improve their basic level of English. So this is it from my side. For now, we will be having the classes. If you are willing to, then kindly join as soon as possible. Let me know that. I'll be sending the link on the WhatsApp itself. I have different broadcasts created, so I'll be sending the message over there itself. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye. Let me just stop.